Hey, and welcome to This Is My Architecture. My name is Peter. I'm joined by Greg from Paessler. Hey, Greg, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Greg, tell us a bit about what Paessler does.
So we make PRTG. It's network monitoring software. Basically, it allows you to monitor anything in your network that has an IP and is accessible through some kind of protocol, whether it's SNMP, WMI, something like that. We're totally agentless, and so we just pull data from the devices, basically show it in dashboards, and obviously alerting and things like that.
All right, sounds awesome. So you guys used to deploy your monitoring software on the customer sites, right? But you decided to move things into the cloud. Could you elaborate on this?
Yeah. Basically, the CEO knew that we needed some kind of a SaaS product, and there was a demand for it. A lot of people were asking us about it, especially new up-and-coming businesses. They don't want to deal with the Windows Server. They don't want to deal with the maintenance. They don't want to deal with the updates. So we handled that for them now.
Okay, sounds really cool. So, well, could you walk us through the infrastructure and show us a bit of that solution?
Sure. So we have a single-page application which communicates to API Gateway. API Gateway then sends on the request to a step function. The step function then triggers a create stack function. This create stack function then customizes a CloudFormation template and basically rolls that out. And when the CloudFormation template gets spun up, then it spins up an EC2 instance, it spins up an IP, a subnet, an EBS volume, and about 25 other resources.
All right, awesome. So this VPC is basically the basis to launch and to host your monitoring software solution, right?
Right. So basically, yeah, each individual EC2 instance has all of its own resources running from A to B.
Okay, sounds really good. So, okay, this is there. Now we see a couple of more solutions or services in place. How about this stack pool? What is this one?
So we noticed at the very beginning, especially because of DNS resolution, that the customer experience for getting a new stack was really slow. And so basically what we did is we created what we call pool stacks. And the pool stacks are, again, CloudFormation stacks. And basically this Lambda function will then look to see, is there a pool stack? If so, then it customizes it. So all these resources are basically all there. We just customize our software on the EC2 instance, and then it's done for the customer.
Got it. So the reason for doing this is probably to improve performance?
Exactly.
All right, okay. Sounds really good. How about these guys here?
So in order to keep track of all of our stacks, basically we have CloudFormation reporting to SNS. SNS then triggers DynamoDB, so we're streaming the data to DynamoDB about what the stack status is. And also like the IP addresses for each stack, the customer names, the IDs, and things like that.
All right, another thing to do in order to improve performance, I guess. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Well, well, this seems to me like a happy case flow, but what happens if something breaks?
It's a great question. We had that not so often at the very beginning when we had a few hundred stacks. Once we started getting towards 1,000 stacks, we noticed that certain things weren't coming up, instances weren't coming up, our software wasn't performing properly. So that was one of the reasons that we switched to step functions. So if we a normal case, we go down here to the Lambda function, it tries to create the stack. If that fails, then we trigger a new Lambda, which basically recreates or deletes the stack and then recreates a new one. And so it basically recycles through that process.
All right, it's like a failover solution.
Exactly.
All right, so, well, another thing about your VPC solution. So there's a limit that we have, and looking at this from a scaling perspective, hard limits would block you guys. What's the thoughts that you guys have around that?
So our plans for the immediate future are to go multi-region. So we have all this orchestration architecture built on microservices, completely serverless with DynamoDB and Lambda. We want to take that and basically start moving into other regions. So then we have more VPCs. Obviously, that's not super long-term either. So the idea is that we'll create one account with all the architecture, all the serverless architecture, and then that will then create stacks in other accounts.
All right, so you would separate responsibilities and make it more scalable in that sense. Okay, sounds really good. All right, Greg, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for watching This Is My Architecture.